Hey guys, it's Sung, and today I'm sharing 5 easy breakfast ideas that'll match whatever mood you wake up in. The first one we're gonna make is an orange creamsicle overnight oats. I'm gonna start by adding some Greek yogurt for a little bit of protein into my bowl. The full recipe will be written out in the description box below. Then I'll add some milk. You can use any plant-based milk, non-dairy, regular, whatever you'd like. Orange juice, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and we just give it a mix. So I actually really love overnight oats because you don't have to cook it and it's made the night before, so it's ready pretty much when I wake up. It does take a little bit of planning ahead, so just make sure you make it at least the night before. I've mixed everything together, and if you notice, we still have a little bit of yogurt clumps in here, but don't worry about it, it's gonna go away as soon as we mix our oats and our chia in, which I'll add in now. Chia seeds are a great addition because it gives you that extra thickness and omega-3 protein. And finally, to give us that orange zing, I'm gonna add a little bit of zest from a fresh orange. All right, that looks good. Just give it a final mix. At this point, you can choose to just put this whole bowl into the refrigerator, or you can scoop it out into individual sized jars. I'm gonna do both. So a recipe like this will make about 2 to 3 servings for me. And usually this is how much I like 1 serving. But let's go ahead and cover it up and we will pop it in the fridge overnight. So here's what our overnight oats look like the next morning. It's thickened up and the oats have expanded a bit, but before we dig into our overnight oats, I always need a really delicious hot drink in the morning. So I thought orange creamsicle overnight oats would pair really well with Earl Grey tea. And I'm gonna make it into a tea latte. I have the Earl Grey tea bag right here. I'll let it steep for about 3 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm gonna add some garnish to my overnight oats. I just have some orange wedges here and I'm just gonna place it right in the middle like that. And then for the jar, I mean, you don't really have to, but we can add it in here or just to the side of it, whatever you'd like. All right, our tea looks almost done. And I'm just gonna add a splash of milk in there. Such a good pairing. The orange creamsicle overnight oats just burst with that orange flavor, and then it's balanced with that mellow, sweet vanilla in there. If you guys enjoyed this overnight oats recipe, it's in my cookbook and there's 3 other ones in there as well. So go ahead and check out the link in the description box to find my cookbook. All right, let's move on to the next one. If you woke up feeling like you need a little bit of a treat, this banana brulee oatmeal is the way to go. So I'm gonna start by adding some rolled oats into my pot, then a little bit of cinnamon, and then because I like my oatmeal on the porridgey, really creamy side, I'm gonna add half milk, half water. I'm gonna turn the heat on to medium-high, and we'll just let it cook together. Now to add a little bit of sweetness and that banana flavor in there, I have a whole banana, but I'm only gonna be using half of it for now. And then I'm just gonna slice the banana directly into the pot. So not only does this give us that banana flavor, but it also sweetens up our oatmeal naturally. Okay, so once it starts to heat up, I'm just gonna mix everything. Mash the banana with my spatula. That way I get some banana chunks in every bite. So we're just gonna let this come to a nice simmer and cook for about 10 minutes. So here's a great tip for the creamiest oatmeal. I always do 1 part oats to 2 part liquid. So you can mix the liquid just as I did with some milk and water, or you can just use full-on milk or just water if that's what you like. All right, it's almost there. So the first time I ever had a banana brulee oatmeal was actually in Chicago at a hotel, and I was completely underwhelmed. It lacked flavor, and just the word brulee didn't make sense because it had none of the brulee-iness in there. So I've always wanted to recreate this recipe. Hopefully I do it justice. So similar to making rice, when the liquid almost disappears off of the top layer of the oatmeal, that's when I know it's ready. Just a couple more seconds and we're done. Pour this into my bowl. This makes 2 servings, so you can save some for tomorrow or share it with your roommate or kids or husband, whoever is in the house with you. Okay, so here is where the magic begins. Here's our other half of the banana. And then I'm gonna slice it in half lengthwise. I'm gonna stick the whole thing in the middle right here. And then I have some brown sugar that I'm just gonna carefully sprinkle right on top of the banana. Some extra on the oatmeal too. That'll be good. And then here comes the fun part. I have a torch. We're gonna brulee it up. If you guys don't have a torch, you can just stick it underneath a broiler for a few minutes and just let the sugar caramelize. Ooh, so cool. I'll give it about a minute just so that the sugar kind of hardens up. If you guys remember the trend last year, the dalgona, pretty much this is kind of how a real dalgona is made. It's like a hard candy. And then for the final touch, I'm gonna add a little bit of nuts. You don't have to. And pecans would be great, but I don't have any. I just have walnuts, so we're gonna add that. That little tap you hear is exactly what we should get. Now that is what I call a morning treat. Whoa, that was so good. That crunch from the sugar, did you guys hear that? It looks way fancier than the effort that it took to make. You guys should definitely try this. Some days you wake up feeling sweet, other days you wake up feeling a little salty. On those days, can I suggest a bagel with some spicy garlic chive cream cheese? I can never commit to buying a full tub of any type of flavored cream cheese just because I get bored really quickly, so I like to make my own. So I'm gonna start by cutting my green onions. I don't like using the white part, so we'll save that for something else. And I'll just chop it up really fine. I have about a tablespoon here, and I'm gonna add it to my bowl where I already have half a block of room temperature cream cheese. Kind of looks like agadashi tofu now. Same with the garlic and a little bit of jalapeno. I'm using 1 clove of garlic that I'll just finely mince. And then for the jalapenos, I'm just gonna cut really thin slices and not too much. Depending on how spicy you like yours, you can add maybe like, I don't know, 1/8. Just gather it together and cut it in half. I'll add a little bit of salt, some milk, and we'll mash everything together. Some other really fun ideas I have for flavored cream cheese, you can always do lemon herb, so like lemon, garlic, dill, that's a good one. And then if you like lox, you can always do smoked salmon, capers, mix it all into the cream cheese. Another really fun one, my kids love strawberry cream cheese, make it nice and pink, just add a dollop of strawberry jam, or if you have like pureed strawberries from fresh strawberries, just add it in and mix it really well with some powdered sugar. So once you start seeing it mixed together, just kind of start mixing it really vigorously to whip it up nice and creamy. For my bagel, I always like having something cold to wash it down, so we're gonna make a 2-toned iced coffee. I'm gonna start with my milk, top the rest off with some espresso. Look at the beautiful 2-tone. Now back to the bagel. Spread a nice layer of cream cheese. We're making a schmear. Close it up. And look at those layers. Honestly, it looks better than some bagel shops that I've been to. Salty no more, just satisfied. The best breakfast. I'm more of a savory person. What about you guys? Are you sweet or savory for breakfast? Honestly, this tastes like a really good bagel from your favorite bagel shop. The cream cheese is full of flavor, and I love that it's a mix of my favorite things, and then in everything bagel, you just can't go wrong. This is another savory breakfast, and when you're in the mood for eggs and toast, you can never go wrong with an egg in a basket, or a toad in a hole, or an egg in a hole, or egg in a nest. Whatever you call it, I'm gonna amp it up a little bit to make it extra special. So first, I'm gonna preheat my skillet, and I'm just gonna heat it up to medium-high heat. And then if you notice, I have 2 pats of butter, just really small. I'm gonna melt it in the skillet first, just 1/2. And then with my biscuit cutter. If you don't have one of these, you can always use like a glass, whatever, has a round circular edge. And I'm just gonna punch a nice hole in the middle of my slice of bread. Now I'm just gonna swirl the pan so that the butter covers the entire bottom of it. If it begins to bubble too much, just go ahead and lower the heat. Now I'm gonna toast one side first, just make sure it's covered in butter, each one. And we're just gonna let it toast for a minute or two until it's nice and golden brown on that side. So as you guys notice, I really only have 5 ingredients for what I'm about to make. So typically a toad in a hole really has just eggs and toasted bread, and then you can eat it with ketchup or hot sauce. Very, very simple and filling and delicious. But today I'm gonna make something extra special. I'm gonna brown the butter, and then we're gonna add some fried garlic and sage just to really elevate it. So I have my sage here. It's gonna go fast, so I'm telling you guys all the steps right now. So we have some sage leaves. I like using the smaller ones. And then I have 1 clove of minced garlic that I've roughly chopped. Okay, our butter is starting to smell really good, and our bread is perfectly toasted. Here's where it starts to move quickly. So I've just flipped that over. This smaller piece is the one that you really should keep an eye on. But now I'm gonna add my egg directly into the hole and just cover it up. All right, so if the egg kind of spills over like that, it's not a big deal. Sometimes the hole is a little smaller than the egg itself. I'm just gonna take this white part off so that it doesn't burn later. Sometimes you just miscalculate how big the egg actually is. I thought this was a rather small one, and when I tested, it worked out perfectly, but hey, the more egg, the better, right? And so I covered it up, and I'm just gonna let it cook for about 2 minutes until the egg whites look pretty set. So I'm gonna flip this one over. It looks nice and toasted. Here comes the fun part. We're gonna add the other half of the butter, let it melt, and then I'm gonna add our garlic clove right on top of the butter into the sizzling bubbles, and then drop our sage leaves directly over that. Once the garlic starts to turn golden brown and then you can smell the sage, go ahead and get a small spoon, and we're just gonna spoon it directly over our toast. Don't forget the little piece too. And that's all it took to make this. It looks so incredible, and you can really smell the aromas of the sage and garlic. So what I like to do is just grab this little piece that we cut out, and I like to dip it directly. Oh wait, first off, we gotta season it with a little bit of salt. And then what I like to do is take this little circular piece and just break open the egg with it. Look at that jammy yolk, oh, so good. So flavorful. This is like a fork and knife type of dish. The bottom's also perfectly toasted. I got a fried sage in there. This is just the coziest meal to wake up to. If you woke up this morning feeling like, I need a good challenge, then this souffle pancake is the one to try. So this one's really cool because I'm only using 1 egg and it makes 2 small pancakes. So I'm gonna start by separating my egg. I'm gonna crack the egg whites and keep it in a larger bowl, and then the egg yolk in this smaller one. To our egg yolk, I'm gonna add a little bit of flour, a little bit of cornstarch. The addition of the cornstarch will help lighten up the batter. Some vanilla extract and milk. Now I'm just gonna mix everything together. All right. That's done, and now we move on to our egg whites. So I'm gonna start mixing the egg white until it's nice and foamy, and then I'm gonna gradually add in my sugar while I'm mixing until we get nice stiff peaks. So you wanna look for stiff peaks that stand up like that. If it's like droopy or falling over, keep mixing. So now that our egg white is whipped, I'm gonna add half of our egg mixture, our egg yolk mixture, into the egg whites and beat it so it's thoroughly mixed. At this stage, don't be worried about being too rough on it. And now we add the rest. And then at this stage, you wanna gently fold everything in. What I like to do is just do a circular motion and cut through the middle. Circular motion, cut through the middle until it's all mixed in. You're probably looking at 7 or 8 strokes. At this point, just make sure you don't overmix it. It still looks nice and fluffy. All right, so here I have a non-stick skillet that's pretty heavy duty, and I'm gonna turn the heat to medium. As it's preheating, I'm gonna add just a tiny little bit of neutral oil. I'm using avocado oil here. I'll let it get hot, and then with a paper towel, I'm just gonna spread it around the bottom of the pan. Even though this pan is non-stick, you just want some extra insurance. Once the pan feels hot, I'm gonna take my ice cream scooper, and then I'm gonna make little mounds of the souffle pancake. Each one is gonna get 3 little mounds on top of each other, but I'm just gonna start with 2 right now. And then add 2 teaspoons of water. Don't worry if it does that. Cover it up and let it steam for about 2 minutes before we add the remaining dollops. All right, so now we're gonna add another dollop right on top and continue steaming it for about 1 to 2 minutes until it looks kind of dried out. All right, now this is probably the most challenging part for me, the flipping. I've learned that flipping always messes it up, so I'm gonna try to just roll it over. Yes, that was a miracle. Oh, that was challenging. Again, we add our water, cover it up, and another 3 to 4 minutes this time. Turn off the heat and just use your fingers to test if it's done. If it's like jiggly and firm, it's pretty much done. It tends to deflate after you take it off and transfer it to the plate, so I kind of just let it sit for another minute just to make sure it's fully cooked. So I've transferred it to a plate, and now I'm gonna dust it with some powdered sugar, strawberries of course, get a nice mound on there, and to make our days even more cheery, some chamomile flowers that I plucked from my garden. You guys can definitely drizzle some syrup over this, it would be delicious, but I kind of wanted to show you guys the inside. It's nice and custardy, but at the same time it's still super fluffy and jiggly. It kind of reminds me of the Japanese cheesecake, you know, like that jiggly one. That's my favorite part about eating this, is just how like fluffy and jiggly it is. So fun. And it does require a little bit of technique, but it's so worth it once you finally nail it down, which I hope you guys are going to with the help of this recipe video. It's like having dessert for breakfast. So I wanna also quickly thank you guys because we finally hit 1 million subscribers last Sunday. It was truly amazing, and it's been such a journey to get to this point, and I want to thank each and every single one of you guys, whether you started following us when we had only 10,000 subscribers or you followed us yesterday. I wouldn't be here without you guys, so I want to truly thank you, and I hope these breakfast recipes will inspire your mornings. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!